So I'm definitely no stranger to kart racing games, or racing games in general really. I grew up playing a lot of Need for Speed, Lego Racers, and of course the one that everyone knows and loves, Mario Kart. So when I heard that Sonic the Hedgehog would be getting a racing game as well, I was pretty excited. Though keep in mind that this was before I knew that Sonic Riders was actually a racing game, and before I knew about Sonic Drift, Sonic R, and Sonic Rivals. The Nintendo Wii's Nintendo channel had a feature that would let me download demos of upcoming or newly released games for the Nintendo DS, and one of those games I've downloaded was for Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. After playing the demo of the DS version, I eventually played the console demo at a GameStop. When I played the console demo, I was surprised to see that the track design was exactly like the DS version but with better graphics, so I assumed that every track was like that as a result. Because of that, I've decided to get the DS version. Plus, at the time, I was very obsessed with being able to play wherever and whenever I wanted. Little did I know that some tracks and characters were actually altered for the DS version. I wouldn't get to own the console version until around early 2012, just a few months before the sequel, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, was first announced. This game was also my first exposure to a lot of Sega's other franchises, such as Jet Set Radio, Virtua Fighter, and Space Channel 5, just to name a few. Although back in 2010, the only characters I cared about at the time were the Sonic characters, and I wouldn't start trying out other Sega franchises until around 2015. That being said, let's finally talk about Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing.
Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing!
So, much like most racing games, the game has absolutely no story. It's a racing game in its purest form. There are 4 modes to choose from: Grand Prix, Single Race, Time Trial, and Mission Mode, which has you perform a variety of tasks with select racers and courses. There's also a Battle Mode as well, but I'm still yet to play it even to this day. Plus, I almost never have someone to play multiplayer games with me in person. And even so, I don't really play racing games to battle, I play them to, well, race. You can choose from a wide cast of Sonic and Sega characters, such as Sonic the Hedgehog himself, Beat from Jet Set Radio, and BD Joe from Crazy Taxi, just to name a few. However, depending on what version of the game you're playing, you also have access to console-exclusive characters. If you're playing the Wii version, you can race as a Mii. But if you're playing the Xbox 360 version, you can race as not only an Xbox avatar, but you can also race as Banjo-Kazooie. Metal Sonic is also available as DLC for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, so yeah. You mainly race on courses based on different Sega franchises, such as Sonic the Hedgehog, Jet Set Radio, and even Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, just to name a few. There's also a course themed after the Death Egg you can get as DLC for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions as well. When you first start the game, you don't immediately have everything unlocked. Luckily, by simply playing the game, you earn Sega Miles, which is basically this game's currency. You can visit a shop on the main menu to use your Sega Miles to purchase new racers, new courses to use in single race, and new music. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. Why is Sonic driving a car? He's the fastest thing alive! Well, yeah. If he was running on foot, pretty much no one, aside from Shadow and Metal Sonic, would be able to stand a chance at beating him. Sonic's in-game bio even states that he drives a car for a fair race. Once you select your Grand Prix or course, you gotta race against your opponents and cross the finish line first, just like every other racing game. Much like with most car racers, you can accelerate, steer left or right, and use items to try and slow down your opponents. The game also has a lot of emphasis on drifting. While you're drifting, your vehicle will shoot blue, yellow, and eventually red flames out of the exhaust. When you release the drift button during this, you will get a quick boost. How powerful that boost is depends on what color the flames are. Each character also has a unique All-Star move that can really help turn the tide of a race. Some of these moves, including Sonic and Shadow transforming into their super forms, Knuckles using the Master Emerald's power, or Dr. Eggman using his Eggmobile to shoot missiles at his opponents. Unfortunately though, the chance of getting this item depends on your race position, so you'll only be able to get this item while you're behind enough racers. You can also perform tricks in midair by tapping the drift button while in midair. If you can successfully land safely after doing a trick, you will get a boost. But if you fail to land safely after doing a trick, nothing will happen. Or in the DS version's case, spin out. If your character is on a bike, you can also do tricks on the ground by tapping up and then immediately down on the analog stick, though try not to do these during turns since they can't steer very well while doing these tricks. The characters also have multiple different tricks, and some of those tricks are shorter or longer than others, so try to be careful on whether or not you can land the trick safely or not. As for what I think of the game, I actually really love it. The competition can be pretty intense at times, drifting feels really sweet, and just about every course is really fun to race on. And this is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I personally think this game is better than most of the Mario Kart games, one of the main reasons being the items. In games like Mario Kart, running into an item causes your vehicle to just stop moving and won't let you accelerate until after a full second has passed. But in Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing, running into an item does cause you to slow down and lose speed, but it doesn't cause your vehicle to stop moving entirely. This is one of the main reasons why I prefer it over Mario Kart. I also personally think the drifting feels better as well. In fact, the game was developed by Sumo Digital, who was also responsible for another one of my favorite Sega games, Outrun 2, and I absolutely loved the drifting in that game, so I naturally enjoy this game's drifting as well. Graphically speaking, it looks pretty good for 2010 standards. The courses are very well detailed, and the character models look pretty good as well, though I do wish they had more facial expressions. Musically speaking, it mostly just reuses music from previous Sega games, but most of the music chosen for the game sound really good. I also really love the original pieces of music used as well. I especially love the main theme, So Much More, by Bentley Jones. Now, as much as I've been praising this game, I don't think it's perfect. The vehicles are a bit of a mixed bag for me. I really do love Beat's car, Jackie's car, Dr. Eggman's monster truck, and especially Sonic's car. I'm not super big on Knuckles having an ATV, but I do think it's fine. But why is Shadow on a motorcycle again? Granted, it is way more fun to use here than it ever was in Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, but I still would have greatly preferred his alternate unlockable car from Sonic Adventure 2. Now, to be fair, I am very biased towards cars. Whenever I'm playing a racing game, I'm always using a car unless the option isn't even available. I do acknowledge that giving all of the characters a unique vehicle adds variety, but I really wish there were alternate vehicles to choose from. In fact, Ryu Hazuki from Shenmue has 2 different vehicles to use, and I really wish that every other character had that as well. But hey, that's just me. I also really wish there were more courses from other Sega franchises. In fact, I'm surprised we didn't get any courses from Sega's other racing games, such as Daytona USA, Outrun, and Crazy Taxi! And this isn't really an issue for all versions of the game, but I've noticed some small glitches while playing the Mac version, which was the version I used to record the game. Occasionally, I've noticed some weird graphical glitches, and the music didn't always play for some reason. When I've started this race here,
Oh, gotcha!
the music just stopped playing immediately after the race started. Though on the bright side, I can use this to my advantage and use music of my own choosing.
Here I come!
Overall, Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing is a fantastic racing game, and definitely one of my favorite kart racing games. It's fast, it's intense, and just a really fun game. If you love kart racers, or racing games in general like I do, I highly recommend trying this game. I promise you'll have a good time with it. That being said, I give this game a 9 out of 10.